Yeah. Cotton Hall of Shame. Justin Nicely in the building. Ooh. Single father, standing tall. They gon' know who I am now. 2025, a year of reckoning. I was gonna stay quiet, but then they got corrupt. I was gonna trust the system, but then they got corrupt. Now we exposing all the lies, and I know why. Cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt. La 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 la. I was gonna speak at council, but then they got corrupt. I was gonna say my piece, but then they got corrupt. They shut down public comment, now the people's voice is hushed. They got to say their narrative, but we couldn't say ours, and I know why. Cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt. I was gonna find my records, but then they got corrupt. Single father standing tall, but then they got corrupt. Took the kids October 17th, 2019, hid behind the COVID lock. Hell no on that substation. Just another theatrical play to beat us with, and I know why. Cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt. I was gonna mind my business, but then they got corrupt. I was gonna pay my taxes, but then they got corrupt. Reintroducing myself tonight so y'all know who I am and what you're in for in this war against the system and the scam. Single father of 4, 3, taking, fighting every day, and I know why. Cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt. I was gonna vote them in, but then they got corrupt. I was gonna wave the flag, but then they got corrupt. 2025 is the year of reckoning. Transparency we demand. Canton Hall of Shame exposing. Put them all on blast across the land. I'm not gonna sit down, I'm not gonna be quiet, and I know why. Cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt. They thought we wouldn't notice, they thought we'd look away, but the camera's always rolling every single day. From the council to the courts, from the cops to the halls, we shining light on all y'all, yeah. Canton Hall of Shame, I was gonna let it ride, but then they got corrupt. I was gonna back the blue, but then they got corrupt. Now the whole world's watching, and I know why. Cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt, cause they got corrupt, yeah. Justin Nicely, reintroducing myself so you know who I am. What you're in for, single father, standing tall. Hell no, theatrical play, year of reckoning. They gotta say that.
This is not a test. This is the emergency broadcast system. Please stay tuned for the following message and instructions. This is not a test.
DeKalb County Police are asking for the public's help finding a man who disappeared earlier this week. Albert Waugh, who also answers to the name Alex, was last seen on Tuesday afternoon walking away from South Stone Mountain Road. He was last spotted on a surveillance camera on Wellborn Road. Waugh has autism and extremely limited verbal skills. Since then, police have been searching for him using drones, the police helicopter, canvassing the neighborhood, and more. He was last seen wearing a light brown t-shirt, black shorts, and was carrying a black backpack. He is 5'7" and approximately 140 pounds. He walks with a slight drag to his right foot and may shuffle in place while standing. Anyone who sees him should call 911 or the DeKalb County Police Special Victims Unit at 770-724-7710.
services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallets. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them, but when they come your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeves. Yeah, you can't do what you're trying to do. We have done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You will no longer will steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken. Goddamn it, she's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher screaming out loud about a CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids' pictures held up by Tiff Tack. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with hot speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come, picking you off one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the case workers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows and the only games you play on Nintendo. Corruption in court, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher warrior. We cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. All children are being stolen away too often. So CPS, we plan on doing the stopping. Now stop!
Yeah. Yes, classic. I sure will. Perfect. I love it. And I want to see that K-Tom. You know what, man? That's fuck Trump, fuck Israel, fuck all that shit. You know what? That's your opinion. Rock it here. That's cool, man. So if you were trying to offend somebody, it didn't work. If you were just stating your opinion, then welcome to the show. That's it. I mean, that's just it. If you were going to be offensive about things, you weren't, but you were just straight up voicing how you feel. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. So you didn't do anything that it was offensive to us. So welcome. Join the show. What's up, Tiff?
Oh my God, my dad called me 3 times during the music. I finally had to answer the phone. He's like, "What are you doing?" Now, I told you I just talked to him and told him I was about to do the show.
Oh my God, look at this. Check this out. Because Classic's show is starting this week, She says, Punisher, call me. I'll send you the song that she wrote for the show. P.S. My daughter calls herself the next Punisher. She's 9, and my family will never stop fighting for all of you. That's cool.
Aww.
That's really cool. We used to do back so it'd be like not like BC, not before Christ, but I guess it'd be PT, pre-Tiff. I used to do these things right here where I would make future Punishers, where kids that were taken, I would put their kids' pictures up on the shows. So I believe that's Brenda's son right there, little Christopher. Yeah, people would send me their pictures, and I would put them in as the next Punishers. So that's cool. That's the only one that I have up here right now, still, that's left on the board. But yeah, everybody used to send their pictures in, and if you guys want to do that, we can do that again. I'll make the little Punisher things for your family, and we can put those back up there. Sure, that'd be cool to do. Yeah. So, what is it that your dad is awaiting the answer of so much?
Well, we are right now. Virginia is the most watched state because they're trying to do a redistricting. And we still have 4 years. The federal courts have already shut it down. They said you can't do it. So they put it on the ballot. So I heard 2 things today because I was going to go vote. The first thing I heard was we really don't know why it was on the ballot because the Virginia Supreme Court hasn't even ruled whether it's constitutional or not. And then the second thing I heard was it doesn't matter what the outcome is, both sides are ready to go to the Virginia Supreme Court. I said, then what the fuck am I going to waste my time walking in this place and putting my vote on there?
Mm-hmm. And that's why you are you make rational decisions about things like this.
Yeah, so I don't know why they even put it on a ballot.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court of Virginia could say it was unconstitutional. You can only do it every 10 years. But I guess Virginia's following Texas and California and the rest of these damn states. I don't know.
You need to get a hold of that state.
Huh?
You need to get a hold of that damn state.
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I do know that our midterms are coming up. And I have a sneaky suspicion that the Republicans are going to win the primaries because they came for the guns here. And there's a lot of people who have guns here, and they're pissed.
Yeah, don't mess with the guns. Don't mess with the guns. They can come, what is it? They can take it off, pry it from my cold dead fingers, or that saying that says that. You come for my guns, you can take it from my cold, whatever it is, that saying. You know the one I'm talking about.
I do know. So I have a sneaking suspicion that the Democrats are going to lose the primaries because, for the simple fact, on God's honest truth, they came for the guns.
Don't come for the guns. Ever.
Right.
And people, don't forget, just because it says you have the right to bear arms, that doesn't mean that it's just got to be a gun. Whatever you need to pick up to take yourself against this tyrannical government when they come after you is whatever you got to pick up, put in your hand. It could be a rock, it could be anything. So
Tiffany's purse.
Yeah, Tiffany, what's inside of Tiffany's purse? Like there's a multitude of things that you can be used for your Second Amendment rights. So and don't forget, CPS comes through that door without a warrant. You do have a Second Amendment right.
You sure do.
And that says it right there in the Constitution.
Well, the state police did put out a little thing on Facebook. They said, we are not coming for your guns. We are very clear on the Constitution and the Second Amendment. And they put up, shall not be infringed. So they said, we're not coming for your guns.
Well, I mean, that's got to be scary, right? Being a police officer, going in and knowing that. I mean, there's some people that, like, I'm passionate about it, but I don't think I'd start a war over it if they came for my gun. I don't know. I've never been put in that position. But there are people that are ready to go to war over the fact that you coming to take their guns. So it's got to be a scary place to be on both sides, like the people that are that heavy into that, and then the people that are being ordered, because that's what's being done here. If this did happen, they're not doing it because they want to, they're doing it because they were ordered to do so. And that's a tough position too to be in. I would hate to be in that position. It's but if you're not willing to do that stuff, then why are you doing that for a job? Oh, I know why. Because police aren't supposed to be doing that stuff, because they're law enforcers, not takeaways. That's right.
Well, I
Know
will
your
tell you, they tabled the qualified immunity, so they still have qualified immunity. So it's tabled. They'll take it up again next year. It's not going to pass.
Tabled it. Put it on the shelf. Put it away.
Yeah.
Tiff and I have a bill, or a draft of a bill that we've been working on, and it's very simple. All it says is that, well, it's not simple. It is simple, but it's not. But it pretty much just, we said, take all the programs that they have that they give money towards adoption and separating a family, and we changed the wordage, which they do that all the time. They change bills wordages. If you go through and look at the bills and everything and what they've done, they change it all the time. And if you just change adoption to reunification, it would save so many families, and it would save the taxpayers so much friggin' money. So that's what we're going to start pushing on. I mean, that's simple. That's a very simple solution. And I know it's not abolishment, but it is too, in a sense, because now their end game isn't the same. Now the end game is keep that kid in your house. You get paid to keep the kid. You get bonuses for making sure your kid stays home. And let's be real, less than 2% of these kids are really being abused. So it's not affecting or hurting anybody by keeping these kids in the homes. I mean, the effects and the problems are being caused by them taking the kids out of these houses.
Yep.
The PTSD, all of that stuff.
There's a laundry list of what they do to these kids.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that Utah has now joined the administration that every home for a kid. So there's 15 states that have joined that now. I did see that today.
What is it now?
The every home for a child or something. I'm tired. That Melania Trump wanted.
Yeah.
So Utah is now the latest state that has joined forces with them.
Let's see. I'll pull this up here. A home for every child.
Yeah.
The ACF launched a Home for Every Child initiative to address the critical shortage of foster homes by aiming for a 1-to-1 ratio of licensed homes to children in care. Now, man, you know what? If CPS corruption is watching right now, I would like her to come in here and talk about this with us really briefly. Because this is right up the alley of what her show is going to be about.
Yeah. Well, I think the goal is to keep children in their homes unless they absolutely have to be removed, from what I'm reading. But just because they put it up doesn't mean that's necessarily the motive behind it.
Yeah, it says the strategic focus is the initiative focuses on 3 key areas: prevention, keeping children out of foster care; recruitment, increasing the number of homes; and retention, supporting existing caregivers. And then it says prioritizing kin. A major goal is to place children with family members or familiar caregivers whenever possible. Well, that's already supposed to be what happens, and it's not working. They don't use it. CPS does not allow you to use it because they're always saying, well, you're going to go and visit. You know what I mean? They're saying that the family's not going to be strict enough on you terminating your rights or the visitations.
Well, here's the thing. They'll start getting money to put children with kin.
Uh-huh.
So there's no incentive right now. There's no federal backing for kinship placement.
Right.
It's all done through the state. So if their primary goal is, 1, to prevent children from being removed, and then the other 2 bullshit, and then more focus on kinship, I'm pretty sure there's a financial incentive to keep kids with family members.
Right. Let's see. States are participating to implement these reforms, with some, such as Oklahoma, focusing on building stronger support systems and improving child welfare outcomes. Okay. Those looking for adoption, organizations like Home for Every Child Adoption Society. They also international. Okay. I'm excited for CPS corruption to get our show going, because there's so much. After we saw her interview with her, or once we saw her classic corruption, can you come on here for a minute? Shoot the breeze with us just for a moment? If I put the link up here, would you mind coming in and talking with us about this for a second? Let's see. I will put the link up in the chat right here. So if you're available to come in, that would be really cool.
And I think all children should be reunified with their parents, as long as their parents haven't been criminally charged with abuse, neglect, or sexual abuse or whatever.
Yeah, and definitely none of those. But it says that now too, right? Like, you're not supposed to be with children around you if you murdered or you were involved with the murder of somebody with a child present, right? Isn't that one of them? If you were involved with a sexual assault with a minor.
Well, they've also, and I see Virginia passed this, because they have to, all the states have to align with federal laws. So
Right.
the Trump administration has said they have to move barrier crimes for kin. And now Virginia, again, has said you must remove barrier crimes as long as they're like 10 years or older. And they're not even supposed to go past 10 years, but they do.
Of course not. And of course they do.
I can tell you right now, there's 33 pages of barrier crimes here in Virginia. And 15 of those pages,
shouldn't even be in there. Shouldn't even be.
I'm on.
Right.
Not me per se, but 15 of those pages, those crimes, hell, pretty much half of America has committed. So get the fuck out of here, man.
That's right. Here's Classics in the house. Miss Classic, how are you, dear?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're real good. So what do you think of all of this mess that Melania Trump is saying? This every home for a child. What do you think about all this?
I watched her speech. I read all the stuff about it. You know, it's disheartening because it's just apparent that she's not educated, right, about everything that's going on. And it's the disheartening part is that so far up, you know, we feel like we're getting so far, we're writing bills, we're doing things, we're doing all the right stuff, but then the people in charge, the people on top, they don't seem to be hearing it.
Right. They're not changing the purpose of what they're not hearing what we're saying.
No.
No one's
They're still, you know, everybody wants to do the right thing, the politically right thing. And they want to show compassion for the orphans. They want to show all of this, the politically correct view on foster care, on saving abused children, neglected children. And they really just don't understand that their definitions of abuse, their definitions of neglect are skewed, and that the way that the caseworkers are using them and the system and the judges are using them, they just aren't true. You know, a family who needs $300 for a power bill, should get $300. Instead, you remove 5 children from their household. You spend $1,200 a month paying a foster care home. You pay for their summer programs, you pay for their Medicaid, you pay for their dental, you pay for all this stuff. They're out tens of thousands of dollars a year per child, when all they needed to do was provide a little bit of service and a little bit of funds, to help people either come out of a poverty situation, possibly get, drug addiction rehabilitation, some counseling services, some different parenting skills. I mean, kids don't come with books. We all know this.
Right.
They're all different. I have 7, and they all just amaze me because I have no idea what's coming next. So it's just it's unfair, and it's unfortunate that they're so uneducated, at the top, right? Those people in the system, people like Melania, who's all the way at the top, and there's just no way to touch her. There's no way to sit down with her and have lunch and, light up a cigarette and do what like regular girls do and just hang out and have a moment where you can be real with each other. And it sucks because it just comes down to the reality that they just don't get it still.
Right. Yep, that's it. They're not understanding that these kids are being taken illegally, that they're being kidnapped, that they're being stripped from their homes. They're not understanding any of that stuff, and no one's listening to that.
Right.
And like you said, you would have been all about reunifying your children with their biological families.
Right. And I wouldn't have said that 15, 20 years ago when we originally, because I was getting lied to by the caseworkers, by the GALs, by everybody involved. But now, all these years later, and having met the families, having come to an understanding of family members who are willing to take in the children, who wanted them to remain a part of their family, it just doesn't make sense to me that wouldn't try to reunify the child. If not, one of my adoptions, one of the parents had gone to prison for I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I really don't know. And so I understand they needed a place to be in the interim. But she had willing family who would have taken the children, and we were lied to, about, well, they're older and so they can't, and like there's really no one else. If you don't step up, these kids don't have a hero. If you're not the one, all the stories you guys tell and that I've come to understand now about kids who are lost in the system, kids who die in the system, kids who, their explanation to us all those years ago as an adoptive family was, if you don't do it, this is what will happen.
Right.
If you don't do it, it's that all of these deaths, all of these missing children, all of this terrible stuff that they're actually responsible for, they blamed on biological families, that they were going to be the responsible party, and that these children were going to drown in pools or get molested or be raped and pregnant by the time they're 12 if you don't step up. And thank God for you. But then I came to know the families as my children became adults, and they reached out to their families, and hearing the stories and being through now what my family has been through also, because they came to our house. They removed we're not just an adopted family. Our children were removed. My biological and my adoptive child were removed 15 years after adoption for ridiculous stuff. But they're home now. But I don't know. I don't know if you haven't been through it, if you don't get it. Like, maybe you just don't get it. Maybe you're not going to get it.
Well,
I don't know if Melania could get it. Like, they said like Jada Pinkett and whatever, Will Smith, like there's just so many famous people who have had CPS in their life and they don't talk about it.
Right.
Because they're humiliated. They're embarrassed and they feel like, phew, if I got my kids back, or if I got, if I didn't get imprisoned or whatever, they feel like they're good.
Mm-hmm.
They did okay. At least I got my kids back. And so they shut up and they stay quiet and they stay in the background like a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge disservice, especially from people who have an extreme voice in Hollywood, in the NFL, hockey players. There's so many famous people you would not believe who have had CPS in their life, and nobody talks about it.
And those are the people that we need to get out here and start. They have a position of power and they have a source of media that, some of us don't have access to, that they could be using that to leverage this movement, and they're not. And I wonder why.
And they're not because, one, they're scared like the rest of us, right? Everybody's scared there's going to be backlash. Everybody knows the retaliation is real.
Yes, it is.
Nobody disputes that. And two, because Hollywood is also / Washington, D.C., right? So they have not only the backlash from their friends and family and people who might not agree with them, but everyone on the other side of the political aisle who may weaponize that against them and take their children from them.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that people are told. If they are getting the foster kids, and I know, for instance, in our situation, my cousin was told that if she in fact does allow us to have access to our daughter, more so than what they would allow, that they would come and they would take their child. And that's got to be scary as hell to be told that, and
that's not even a reason. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not even a legitimate reason. Mm-hmm. Their biological child is in no imminent danger. They're not being threatened. They're not being physically or psychologically abused or neglected. To threaten somebody in that manner is completely illegal.
Mm. But that's what they do. That's what they do. I mean,
but that's what they do. They do what's illegal, and they get away with it because it's the system's been just let to get out of hand, so that everyone is afraid of having their kids taken away. Look, I mean, like, make no mistake. Look, Melania didn't have this conversation in 2016. Why? Because Barron was under the age of 18.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So she didn't want to have them coming after her either.
Nobody's stupid.
Right.
Everybody understands that they have an extreme amount of power and that it's out of control and it's rogue. And in order to rein it back in is going to take an act of God.
But she's here and present with us. That's for sure. So we're definitely not counting him out.
Oh, no. Oh, this channel has every intention of invoking God right up into the mix and getting the damn job done.
Mm-hmm. That's the facts right there. It says that they plan on leveraging $11.4 billion of its annual federal funding for foster care and child welfare to advance this mission, and will come alongside state agencies to give broad latitude, flexibility, and technical support to reimagine community-specific interventions. It says ACF will eliminate outdated bureaucratic barriers that discourage families from stepping forward, including streamlining foster family licensing, supporting kinship caregivers, and encouraging faith-based partnerships to expand the network of caring families. How does that make you feel when I read that to you?
I mean, it hurts me because I know that so many people like me 20 years ago, in my 20s, are being snowed. They watch these commercials, you know, foster parents are the thing, foster parents are the saviors. You know, if you would just love a child, if you would just, and we all want to say, well, of course I would. Of course.
Right. Why wouldn't you? You know, like, look at these
Like,
kids.
I don't want to be a person who wouldn't. Like,
Right.
what kind of, how evil are you?
Mhm.
Right? So you don't want to be that person. So you make a phone call, you do these things, and if you're one of the lucky ones and it works out and you can make it through the ridiculous system that they put you through, to be eligible for these things, you think it's gonna feel different on the other end, like a Lifetime movie, you
Right.
know?
Like you're redeemed or something like that. Like
Right.
create.
And
But
maybe it did for a little while, you know, but when you understand the truth, when you comprehend what's happening, and you see the blinders that these politicians are wearing, that they're just not hearing the truth. They're just not hearing it.
Mm.
And they want to puff up foster care, and they keep on just recruiting foster families. And my mission is to decruit
Right.
foster parents. Like, I have no intention of encouraging anyone to adopt or foster, because supply and demand, right? And if we can discourage people from playing that role or being snowed by the idea that these children need a safe, they don't even need you. They
Right.
have a mommy. They have a daddy. What they actually need is CPS the fuck out of their life, actually. And who knew? But you live and you learn.
Yep.
A couple years ago, we went to this, I don't know what it was. I guess it was like a flower show or something. I don't remember, but my husband was hungry because the stacks were open, and he smelled all this food. So we're walking through, and I came across this table, and it says Frederick, Winchester, and Clark foster home. So the ladies were like, "Hey, do you want to be a foster mom?" And I swear to God, my husband almost dropped dead. I turned and I looked at them and I said, "It's obvious you don't know who I am." And I walked away. Absolutely not.
Right.
No, because even all the trainings, and I still have all the paperwork from 20 years ago, from all the trainings, all the things that they had us do, notes from stuff, and it's all crap. They don't even follow their own rules.
Mm.
Well, I will tell you, you've been watching our show for a while. So my sister signed up to be a foster parent, and she called me and I said, "What the hell are you doing?" She's like, "Well, I just have to call and tell you this." And I was like, "What?" She missed one email. Do you know these people had her in court? So, of course, her husband was right there beside her. And it's all during Zoom. And the CPS attorney looked at them and said, "Do you think you need a lawyer?" And her husband said, "No, I think you need the lawyer." It was a 4-hour hearing, and the judge said they didn't commit a crime. So she said, "We withdrew. We're not becoming foster parents." I said, "You shouldn't do that anyway."
No, you should. And that's exactly what I was saying last time I was on was, they spend all this money, all this bullshit money that they launder and funnel and do whatever with. And they put up these billboards and they put out these commercials and all this stuff. And they try to recruit foster homes. And I'm not kidding. Like, it's a miracle that we adopted.
Mhm.
They did everything they could to deny us.
Mhm.
They did not want us to foster. They did not want us to adopt. They did everything they could. Even though they recruited us, they begged us, they wanted us. They said it was the Lord's work. And you go to these meetings and you go through all these trainings and stuff. And then they immediately start trying to find ways to take you to court, deny you the opportunity to adopt. They want to keep the kids in foster care, period. That is the goal.
Mm-hmm. And there's a big difference, right? There's a big difference in these places, right? If you're gonna be a foster care facility, or if you're gonna be a foster to adopt, right? Isn't that what we learned from you?
Yeah. So the foster to adopts are lied to a lot more. So we're completely we have no idea about anything.
Right.
We're just lied to for a purpose, for a means, because they have to have some adoptions, right?
Of course, you keep their money.
Because goodness knows their other option is reunification,
Right.
and we can't have that. Right.
Right.
So they have to have some adoptions in order to make it seem legitimate. But the foster home people, if anyone is a foster home for more than 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
you're in on it. There's no way you don't know what's happening.
Right.
This person I was advocating for, who's a single dad of 5 kids, the foster home, he was court-appointed visits with his children, and the caseworker would not go and get them because they were so far away and the transportation was too long. So she said the foster parent would do that. That's part of the job. That's part of what you get paid for, is to make sure the kids get to their appointments, their visits, blah, blah. No. Instead, they also have a different allocation for transportation. So the foster parent refused to bring the children to the visit until she got approval for additional funds for transportation allocation. Now, say she has 5 kids, mind you, at a grand a piece a month, and she can't drive them without additional funds. Now, when we were adopting our kids 20 years ago and they had visits with their biological grandmothers and aunts and other people, I was happy to drive them. I wanted to meet the family. I wanted to have an understanding of my kids' history, their family. I wanted to share as much as I could with them. But adoptive families are not the same as foster families.
Right.
Adoptive families don't get all of this stuff. We don't get these, foster funds. We don't get transportation funds. You don't get all of these great things. If you're a foster family for, 6-9 months and you continue, you know what's happening. You've met families that don't deserve to be in the system, don't deserve to have their kids removed from them, and you are continuing to foster. No, I don't trust you. We ain't friends.
I have to say this. I'm so sorry. So my dad called me again. I don't know what part of I'm on a show that he doesn't understand. So if you're in Virginia, they voted yes. So watch Virginia, because everybody's headed to the Supreme Court tomorrow. So go ahead.
You bet.
Damn. Yep. Go there and do that voting stuff. Check this out, guys. We got a.
They're gonna gerrymander the whole state.
Oh boy. Check this out. We got a special guest that wants to come in here and say something too. Oh, it is. There he is. There he went. He was here for a moment. There he is. What's up, Gunnar?
Wow! Who we gonna piss off today with some knowledge and information?
Oh, I'm sure a lot. What's happening, my man?
Well, a constitutional question has been filed in the federal court under Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2, on whether or not any case for any state can be brought to a state court where the state is a party in violation of the Constitution. It is officially filed, it's officially on record, and it will be officially answered that will affect all 50 states.
That's
When do we anticipate a response?
It's filed, and I've had, believe it or not, I've actually had some interesting things go on it to where I've actually had to use the ADA with the court clerk's office that actually mistakenly filed it on a separate item that I had filed and put it as supplemental. So I've been on the phone with the federal court clerk's office that they've been violating the ADA. Why? Because you need permission from a judge to file in a federal case. I go, well, what does that do for people that have ADA issues or homebound or this or that? Now you've locked somebody out of the courts. Uh-oh. So guess who's going to have to go to the ADA committee, the federal court system, to now reevaluate their filing policies and procedures of not having permission from a judge, but the fact that now it has to be open to all under the American with Disabilities Act. Why? Because we have to have free access to the courts. You cannot violate it. Matter of fact, it's a due process. Matter of fact, if you guys remember a previous filing, remember the previous filing we told you guys about? Guess what? They never contacted me. No ADA was given. And I was literally locked out of filing anything, which I know Darren and Tiff knows about, because the court clerk failed to follow a federal court order. Well, guess what the new filing has? It's got all the evidence for it and everything else, including sanctions from the federal court clerk for not doing their job, holding them accountable. Well, now we have a constitutional question before to say, hey, are the states allowed to hear courts, especially in the lowest courts with family courts? Because the Department of Children and Family Services, or CPS, DCS, the cabinet, whatever it may be called in your state, is a state entity. According to Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2, all cases where the state are a party. Darren, who has jurisdiction on that?
Supreme Court, buddy.
Oh, you mean the lower courts aren't even supposed to be hearing these cases?
No, sir, they're not.
Uh-oh. And doing research history, this is the first case of its nature to ever ask this constitutional question. It can undo every single ruling across all 50 states where CPS has gone against you and be seen by a state court judge. This will now has the possibility of overturning and making them all null and void verdicts. We told you we were going for abolishment. We promised you. Well, guess what? Now it's on the federal record, and they are flipping out because now they know about it. They know about it here locally. The state knows about it. Why? Because when you do a constitutional question, the requirements are you have to notify your state's attorneys general. Certified. That was done. And the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. Both have been notified, which means all of them must pay attention.
That's good stuff.
There you go, folks. There's the big news that 2026, the reckoning, is here. And we're going to put an end to this one way or another, because you realize once this goes on, that makes every judge, every magistrate that has ever heard a case committing fraud, and it also automatically activates RICO. Why? Did you get any Title IV funds or anything like that from those rulings? You did. You've just defrauded the United States government. It's a snowball effect, people. This also with this constitutional question, because of its nature, once it's answered, yes, the President of the United States, SCOTUS, and everyone will be notified, as well as all attorney generals in all 50 states. How about them apples? Have we pissed off enough people, Tiff? What do you think? You're quiet over there. She's just over here laughing. Your mic's off. I want to hear you cackle.
My mic is off because I don't want them to hear me. But yeah, that's great.
Gunnar Schaefer over here.
Hey, listen, guys, we have come a long way, especially here in the CPS Breaking News Network. Mm-hmm. All of you guys coming together, we have done our best to educate people, to get the news out, to expose this stuff. We have encouraged others to educate other people with truth and facts and say, well, that's not the way it goes. It doesn't matter the way, just because you've been doing something illegal for 10 or 20 years does not, or even unconstitutional, does not justify the fact that it was done there. And there is accountability. We are making this is a movement, people. And yes, compared to where we've come from, we have come a long way, and we have watched this grow. We have watched people come and go. We have watched people fall through the cracks. We have seen people try to ridicule and slander other people to get them to stop to do what they're doing. But once again, and I know I've been on personal attack. I know Tiff has. I know Darren has. I know several other people has. And a lot of things you need to smear or do anything you can. But when rubber meets the road, you couldn't stop this filing. And guess what? I did it under the radar. I did it quiet till I just turned around and go, oh, here you go. Now it's filed. Now it's on the official court record. Guess what? Now you got Gen X involved. Now you're going to play the biggest game of fuck around to find out, because this is going to wake up a whole generation of not my kids, not my grandkids. And now you're going to understand we're not the people that we're not pansy. We're not a little bit this and that. We're over here, grab a lawn chair, something to drink, a little snack or this and that. Let's just watch this thing burn.
That's the fact.
We're not those people. You have woken up a generation that has been through too much, has seen way too much. And if you think we're going to stand by and let this continue and you're going to grow, or this is going to happen and this is going to happen, not a damn chance. Imagine that coming through, what that's going to mean overnight. Here you go. Here's the case number. Now I'm going to file it in all the cases across the state. Your case is now, your ruling is null and void in the Court of Appeals in your state. Give me back my kids. Don't care if they're adopted, they're this or that. It doesn't matter. Null and void, unconstitutional. Now
they don't
we're going to cause civil war.
Mm-hmm. So that's great, Gunnar. So
I think those adoptive families, so they don't freak out, I think they should be required to watch like 50 episodes of Gunnar and Tiff and The Punisher. And then at the end of that, they'll be like, oh, okay.
Well, you got your new show coming up too there, Miss Lady.
Yes, I'm super excited. So you got to.
So you'll be in on that as well now. Now we're going to get all the whole way around. We'll get the whole system between the fighters.
When is your show starting?
You tell me. I suggested next Tuesday to do Tuesday evenings, afternoons. But if you guys have, like, if people are like, man, I wish you guys had a Saturday morning show, or if you have a different time slot or a spot, I have no life. So, I can pretty much do whatever.
Gunnar, you got any suggestions of a day?
Listen, man, we have got Sunday mornings, afternoons. There's, I think the only show I think that's going on that I'm aware of on Saturday would be equal and the same with Henry. So, yeah, the morning or afternoon. Now, remember, too, if we want to go East Coast to West Coast, that's why my show's a little later, because I do worldwide broadcast as an international freelance journalist. My show is picked up around the world, New Zealand, Ireland. I've got followers all across the country wondering what we're doing over here, because they look to us as Americans for a lot of other countries to lead the way. So they're wondering what we're doing and how we're doing it and how do we fix this. Once again, that's what they're looking for. We need to lead by example. Now, I did a report just recently on how other countries look at us, and you go back and watch the show just this past Sunday. And we're a joke, especially with the Epstein stuff, because other countries are going after the people that are on this Epstein list and arresting them, executing them, the whole damn 9 yards. And we're sitting over there going, you've got, the Attorney General for the United States. If I arrested everybody or prosecuted everybody who's on the list, we'd have to shut down. Burn it
Well, God
burn
forbid
it the
we
hell
have to
down.
shut down when a whole bunch of people are eating babies and freaking dogs and kitties, and God forbid we have to shut something down.
Listen, we don't get our rights from the Constitution.
Amen.
A lot of people misunderstand that. We get our rights from the Declaration of Independence.
And
And the
God,
Declaration of
God.
Independence
Mhm.
is 100% clear. When tyranny, when it gets to the point, our founding fathers were very intelligent. When you get to the point you realize the tyranny, or it's become so big that now you're aware of it, we don't have just a, well, you shoulda, coulda, woulda. No, we have a duty. We have an obligation to remove that. Even if it means the whole institute of government, then to reestablish a new government and put preventative measures in to make sure this never happens again to the best of our abilities.
Mhm.
Yeah, I believe that's
Now,
I agree.
that's
And just to
why the
respond,
Second
if I can
Amendment was
respond
put
to
as the Second
Curtis,
Amendment.
yeah.
Curtis R4Q, yay, the Democrats just won a major victory in Virginia by redrawing the congressional districts. The problem with that is that redrawing congressional districts should not be a party favorable situation at all. It should not be pro-Democrat or pro-Republican. The fact that it's being redrawn to benefit the Democrats is the problem. And that is what is unconstitutional about what's happening.
But until we, the people, one, make our petitions heard, as it says, before the government, that this is not right, this and that. And then it comes down to the second part. There's a reason the Second Amendment was number 2. And that's what they fear the most, because here's the thing. Just 2 states, Michigan and Wisconsin, just with registered hunters, outnumbers any military force in the world.
wow.
Now imagine all of the United States took up, and we ain't going to be like Europe or anything else. It'll be over with this, that. That's not even including the veterans. And understand this, with a lot of people, especially that are veterans, especially it's our homeland. Let's get one thing clear, and I hear this from every veteran I talk to. Comes down to our homeland, there's no rules of engagement. This is my home. We will not abide by this or the Geneva Convention or anything else. You will see some of the most horrific things of war go on. They have
Like Royce
guaranteed they
White
come
said,
to.
this is my show. I control the conversation. Like, this is my house. I'm going to control how it goes down. Go ahead, come in if you dare.
Historically, the toughest nations in the world to ever defeat in war is somebody on their own home turf, historically and military. That's scary. That's why we won, and we kicked their ass. And here's the funny thing: it only took 3% of the population at the time to kick Britain's ass back across the pond.
Yeah, I be watching all that history shit. I love it. And I
It's a
have to
beautiful
agree
day.
with her, right? Because I'm an independent voter here in Virginia. And
Mhm.
now that it has flipped, and the federal judge has already said you have 4 more years because you can only do it every 10 years. I
Mhm.
understand that you're probably a Democrat, which is fine. But that's not a good thing for Virginia right now. And don't keep your yays up too much, because the Virginia Supreme Court is about to rule on this, and the Republicans are about to file too. So
I don't know. I think that might have been a sarcasm. I think that might be sarcasm, Gary.
I hope so. But
let's keep up with another case, though, Tiff. There's another case before the federal court right now.
Which one?
Well, let's put it this way. I've been tracking a little bit through it, been trying to get a few things on it. I've been slammed with things, but I'm following up on it. And this is a story you all want to follow. There is a case in the Supreme Court right now. And let me ask you this question. When you guys voted, did you vote on an electronic voting machine?
No, we have paper ballots.
Okay. And anybody else? No?
Electronic. Georgia.
Okay. There is a case right now that Congress never approved electronic voting. It must be
Right.
paper or manual machine. Otherwise, those votes are null and void. And you know how many counties, states, and everything else went over to digital? That means it would empty out a presidential election, all congressmen, all senators, because this has been going on for, what was it, since the 2000s?
But see, here's the thing, though, is just like the election, just like we're talking about, overthrowing the CPS system. It's like everybody knows it's wrong. Everybody's already aware that it's dirty, that it's rigged. But
Just look at
the
Arizona.
reason they don't change it is because they don't have a way to fix it. They don't have a way to change it.
They
right.
don't have to fix it.
I understand that, and you understand that, but that's the reason that they don't vote the way they should, that they don't fucking get anything done, that everybody sits around on their own hands doing jack shit, because everybody goes, well, if we don't do that, if we don't let the illegals in, then what? If we deport them all, then what? Well, if we send all the kids home to their biological families, then what happens to the foster family? What happens to the adoptive family? But that's not the point. The point is that they don't have to figure that out. They just need to rule the right way. And they don't do that. The judges and the courts and the politicians, they all want to be the savior. Everybody wants to be Jesus. And they want to go like, I know what's the right thing, but I just don't know how to fix it. Well, I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm just asking you to rule on the right thing. Just be righteous and do the right thing.
Here's the one thing. CPS was set up as an agency to connect people with resources to benefit or help them, or what were known as friends of the court back in the day. They were never designed to do anything. Well, they do investigations now. They do this and that. Well, guess what? There's a huge problem with that. Why? That's state-appointed actors. You realize you're now interfering with the duties of a duly elected sheriff in their office, that the state doesn't have the ability to bring in their appointed people over elected officials. Correct. You never should have had that power. The state should have never given that power to them. It already exists for investigation for child abuse.
Right.
And child neglect is a criminal code.
Power, and then they use that power. And then everybody, if they go, well, this power, this influence is wrong, we need to make a correction to it. The pridefulness in all these politicians, all these men and women, is, somebody has to be to blame. Somebody has to take the fall. And everybody wants that. Like the people are saying even now, like, I want to see people in handcuffs and perp walked and all that. Like, I do. I'm not saying I don't by any means. But what I'm saying is that's not the goal.
Mm-hmm.
The goal,
right? I'd love to see the caseworkers go to hell. I'd love to see them all fucking perp walked. I'd love to see every GAL in handcuffs. I'd love to see these judges freaking disbarred and derobed. I'd love to see that happen, but that's not the goal. The goal is that they all do the right thing and send the kids home. That this production stops.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we should go back to when judges could not rule in their own communities, right?
There
because they
Conflict
can't have connections to the community. Why are we having judges that live in this community, drink from the same water fountain from everybody, and always rule on their side,
extreme bias. Yeah, which is why Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2 specifically says any case where the state's a party must go to federal court.
Right.
There's a reason that our founding fathers put that in there to eliminate
in
this
all of our cases. Is it not the state who is bringing the charges?
Yes.
But the state cannot be a party.
But
The
they
state
can't be
is
a
an
party.
entity,
The
not
state
a
is a
person.
party. They're the accuser. They're the guarantor. They're the trustee. They're
The
everything.
adjudicator, the whole 9 yards, the administrative, this and that. But unless you signed with them to where they trap you under contract law, and you
Yep.
don't have that, and they'll do that. But once again, they have to meet the standards of federal contract law. But it automatically says if it was adjudicated, that's what the Constitution says. Where the state's a party, the federal court will have original jurisdiction. That's not happening. That means your courts are unconstitutional. Therefore, anything that is against the Constitution has already put in that provision, null and void. Even every state's constitution acknowledges this supremacy clause of the U.S. Constitution in their own. So they must abide by it. There's no wiggle. Well, it goes under this. This is delegated to the state. This guy, it doesn't matter what you say delegated to the state. It says all cases where the state it says all. It doesn't say some. It doesn't say with the exception of CPS. No. No. It
So
says
the interesting thing in our
no.
case is the state is bringing the charges against us, but the children that they allege to be representing are all disputing it.
Once again, that has to be done by independent counsel. Let's go back to these forensic interviews and everything else when they're talking to children. Go into the DOJ's Criminal Resource Manual, Section 121. Juveniles have a constitutional right, and it specifically addresses, wait, what? Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, which means when a child's questioned, you got to have an attorney there, civil rights attorney, to make sure that child's constitutional rights are protected during questioning. But does it happen? Which makes
So,
it inadmissible. Which
3 of the 4 are adults and have not been questioned. They have no intention of being a part of any of it. But the state has decided to bring the charges anyway, and they will sit because the process is the punishment, right? So we can't work, we can't provide for our family, can't do anything in the interim, even though they have absolutely nothing. But the process is the punishment.
Once again,
and the state is bringing charges against us that the children are not supporting. And the children have even engaged with one of my adult son works for the sheriff department that's bringing the charges against us. And
which is a conflict of interest.
Which Georgia Bureau of Investigation should have been brought in the first place. And you're right, it's a conflict of interest. But they did not do that, and now he still works, and the person who is over the investigation on our case is his supervisor. He's a subordinate underneath this person.
So once again, we have to get back to the education that they cannot, any government entity, anything else, state or federal, cannot take and assume any powers which we, the people, don't give them permission to have.
All right.
But until we stand up for it, know how to articulate, which is why public school systems kept you uneducated about the judicial process and things that you're going on to keep you ignorant. This has all been planned. This is not a joke.
No.
They have been doing this for a long time to do exactly this, to take in turn what you hear politicians say all the time, our democracy, our democracy. We do not have a democracy.
No, we
have a democratic process we use for voting and several others, but we live in a constitutional republic. To hear a public elected official or actor or anything say that should be grounds for immediate removal. We do not live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. If we lived in a democracy, majority would rule. And if that's the case, the pendulum wouldn't swing the way it is. And we would tell all those little voices that now have big voices to shut the hell up.
Well, you know what?
And then I'm going to send Tiff in and they can go in and bitch slap them.
Yeah.
No, shut the hell up and go back to your chair and back to your corner.
People need to stop with the.
Don't break a nail, honey. Bring her back.
People need to stop with the party sides and just vote. America, period. They need to stop with the left and the right. They need to stop with the Republican and Democrat. They need to stop with all this party bullshit and just think about the United States of America, the family, and the children. And that's the way people need to rule. Guys, we got to wrap this up. We're way over our time. Gunner, thanks for coming in. Classic, I'm going to call you after. Tiff?
Roger that.
What do you got to say, Tiff? You got anything left to say?
No.
All right, everybody. If she has nothing,
Yeah, somebody wants to come on. Rental Loves. See if we can get them on tomorrow.
all right. Send us an email to cpsvhuntingjustice@gmail, and we'll get you in here. But everybody else, have a good night. We're out of here. Thanks, guys. We pissed
Hi
them off.
guys, thanks. That's gonna keep
See
pissing them
y'all.
off.
Keep pissing people off today with that knowledge and information. Why? Because it's the only way we're getting ahead. And guess what, guys? It's working.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Yeah, waking up to the knock at the door. System coming for war, they twist the truth, fabricate more, leaving families torn. Tiff spitting fire, constitutional warrior, Punisher, loading up, aiming straight at the corrupt core. Child protective, nah, more like child destructive. Stealing kids for the quota, bureaucratic injustice. Paperwork, lies, court dates, rigged from the start. But we expose the corruption, tear the veil apart. No more silence, no more fear. Voices rising, the end is near. CPS sauce, we coming for you. Tiff and the Punisher, breaking through. Gunning for the system, parental rights renewed. Fight the corruption, the revolution's due. CPS sauce, hear the war cry. Reclaim your family, never say die. Constitutional hammer smashing every lie. Tiff and the Punisher, watch the system fry. Family court circus, judges playing God with lives. Child support traps, keeping good parents deprived. Police roll up, badges hiding the agenda. But we drop knowledge bombs, no surrender. F in your corner, strategies locked and loaded. Reunification blueprints, the truth fully decoded. From the front lines, wicked, wise, and relentless. Exposing every fraud, make the guilty confess. No more silence, no more chains. Break the cycle, ignite the flames. CPS slugs, we coming for you. Tiff and the Punisher, breaking through. Gunning for the system, parental rights renewed. Fight the corruption, the revolution's due. CPS slugs, hear the war cry. Reclaim your family, never say die. Constitutional hammer smashing every lie. Tiff and the Punisher, watch the system fry. This is for the parents, fighting every day. This is for the warriors who refuse to break. Abolish the machine, tear it down. Wicked warriors rise, own the crown. Yeah, CPS sauce, louder now. Tiff and the Punisher, take a bow. Gunning for the system, we ain't backing down. Parental rights forever, wear the crown. CPS sauce, this is the sound of justice rising from the underground. Tiff and the Punisher, echo through the town. The fight continues, never back down. Tiff and the Punisher podcast, armed with truth. CPS, you're done.
We know it's all about the money, we know they lie, we know this is corruption. Does CPS know what they are doing to the children?
This is not a test. This is the emergency broadcast system. Please stay tuned for the following message and instructions. This is not a test.
DeKalb County Police are asking for the public's help finding a man who disappeared earlier this week. Albert Waugh, who also answers to the name Alex, was last seen on Tuesday afternoon walking away from South Stone Mountain Road. He was last spotted on a surveillance camera on Wellborn Road. Waugh has autism and extremely limited verbal skills. Since then, police have been searching for him using drones, the police helicopter, canvassing the neighborhood, and more. He was last seen wearing a light brown t-shirt, black shorts, and was carrying a black backpack. He is 5'7" and approximately 140 pounds. He walks with a slight drag to his right foot and may shuffle in place while standing. Anyone who sees him should call 911 or the DeKalb County Police Special Victims Unit at 770-724-7710.